how to create a business and a life that you love. If you want to know the secrets to building both a life and a business that you love, you're in luck because we're going to get into it right now. Hey, CourtneyLSanders here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to me, I'm a full-time online life and business coach as well as wife and mom. I wear all the hats and do all the things, but really these two hats, my life coach hat and my business hat, I think are one and the same, especially in this video because we're going to be talking about how to create a business and a life that you love. And I'm thinking about this because I find that so many people don't really consider the life that they want when they focus on the business that they're building. And so the two really have to go hand in hand. And so this is on my mind because as I am recording this, I actually just got back from hosting my first international retreat in South Africa, which was amazing. But beyond even just the retreat and being able to host clients out there, I'm looking to do business in South Africa. In fact, I'm actually already doing business in South Africa, and I would love to purchase property there and really get ingratiated in the culture. And you know, that fits in with my life's desire of being tri-continental. Maybe you've heard me talk about this on my social media or even on my podcast, and just travel the world with my children and do all of these amazing things. So I say that to say, even me hosting the retreat, yes, it was a business deal, but it also was connected to the life that I want to live. And so that is not by accident. In fact, this is something that I'm very, very intentional about. So if you want to know the secrets to building both a life and a business that you love, you're in luck because we're going to get into it right now. All right, so the key thing that you have to understand is that you need to know the life you want to live before you build your business. And I say this because so many people are focused on what do I need to do to quit my job? How do I get clients? How do I make money? That they don't realize that they are building businesses in a way that's not going to be sustainable long-term and is not conducive to their long-term goals. I especially want to, warn women about this, especially because oftentimes, many of us are, raising children and, we take responsibility for a lot of home management and the things that we do in the household. I know I get a lot of questions around how I'm able to grow and maintain my business while also being a busy wife and mom. And so knowing that, we especially have to take care about how we build our businesses so that it doesn't negatively impact other things that are going on. And I know something that was really eye-opening for me was once I was listening to a Chalene Johnson podcast. Maybe you all follow Chalene Johnson. She was a workout personality with Beachbody. I was gonna say P90X, but that's a product that Beachbody has. But Chalene had her own kind of like fitness thing going on, which was really awesome. And so I wanna say, going on probably 10 years now, she transitioned from just fitness into online business coaching. And I think even to this day, she has a podcast that is really popular. But I know when I was looking to quit my job, I listened to her podcast a lot, especially because she was, a woman that was building an online coaching brand and pivoting from a different career. And so that was really interesting to me. And I remember she had a particular podcast with Gary Vaynerchuk on, right? Gary V, everybody loves Gary V. I know he's very popular here on YouTube, but I thought there was an interesting exchange that the two of them had. So Chalene was kind of challenging Gary Vee a bit. And again, this was back in like 2014, 2015, but she was saying, Gary Vee, you're very much about like go, 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 and you sleep when you die and, working hard Christmas Eve. Like, I know he's since kind of toned that message down, but I want to say back at that time, 2014, 2015, he was all hustle, all hustle, all hustle. And so Chalene was essentially kind of asking him like, hey, love your content and all of that, but from the outside looking in, I wonder, I'm like, I don't want to necessarily build a business that way because, you're very like, go hard. And she kind of was like, well, what about your family and how does all that factor in? And Gary said something that has always stuck with me. He said, if I wanted to spend more time with my family, I would. And I know that sounds like, what? That's really harsh. I don't think he necessarily meant it in a negative way, but he was essentially saying, the life that you see me living works for me. Like, this is actually not on accident. This is this is the life that I want to live. And Chalene was very open and honest on her podcast while, was fortunate to interview Gary Vee and was really about getting a lot of gems. She was also very clear, even while he was on the podcast, that is not a value that they share, right? That's not an ethos that she also subscribes to, and that she doesn't necessarily want her business to look that way. And so that was really monumental and instrumental for me because I realized that it's not enough to learn how to build a business or how to, do certain strategies that are going to make you successful. you do have to consider the source, and more particularly, you have to consider the way the source is living and if that's ultimately conducive with how to live your life, how you want to live your life. And while that might work for some people, and again, nothing against Gary Vaynerchuk or Chalene John or anybody who's built a business online, I hope we all are building business in a way that suits us. I know for me, that was very eye-opening about, I need to first get clear on the type of life that I want to build, and then make sure that I am choosing strategies and looking to mentors and getting resources that are ultimately going to support me in the life that I want and the way that I want it. And I just find that so many people aren't doing that. They're just looking on what is going to work, but they haven't really defined what work means outside of making a lot of money, getting a lot of clients, or helping them quit their job. So again, it's very important that you think about what do you want your life to look like, even from a standpoint of how much do you want to work, how integrated do you want your family life to be with your business life. These are all things that you need to be considering. But in addition to that, you also need to consider structurally, how would you want your life to look? And so I also remember after I had, worked really hard in my business and I had gone full time, and I was working with a lot of one-on-one clients. Now I was married at this time, but this was before I had my son. And again, I was so focused on like, man, I got to get this job. I want to hit these revenue numbers. At the time, I was very proud of myself because I had done like 300,000 in my business, which at the time was like, the highest that I had ever done. But in order to do that, I was working with a lot of clients one-on-one. I think at one point my day-to-day roster was like 16 clients. Like I was coaching 16 clients a week. And I remember being like, whoa, this is not the laptop lifestyle that I had, anticipated when I first started my business. In fact, I had so many back-to-back calls that I couldn't even use the bathroom during the day, like let alone travel. Like I was ending the day exhausted at like 7 or 8 p.m., barely had any time for my husband, and like could finally peel myself off the chair in my home office after doing all of these back-to-back calls, working with all of these clients. And so that was another eye-opener for me as well. Again, it's not just the money, but how you make the money. How do you want your life to look? And so I said, part of the reason why I did this, part of the reason why I wanted to be an entrepreneur and why I wanted to have personal freedom was because I wanted to travel, was because I wanted my day to be free, was because, if I so felt inspired, I wanted to be able to work from a coffee shop or go wherever, right? I'm a bit of a free spirit. I'm kind of unique in the sense that part of me is like very analytical because I have like an ex-engineering background, ex-chemical engineer in school, but then part of me is very creative, artistic. There's like this right brain thing going on where if I feel too confined, it's like, that's not gonna work for me. I need a lot of freedom as well. And so working with all those clients, though it was financially lucrative, in that way was not consistent with both the free-spirited way I wanted to live my life on a day-to-day, but it definitely wasn't conducive to how I wanted to live my life, even in terms of the travel and all the different things that I do. So I say that fast forward, right? That was back in 2016, 2017. Fast forward almost 7 years. Now we're in 2023, just gotten back from spending 2 weeks in Johannesburg and Cape Town, doing business deals on the ground in South Africa, bringing my clients out there and really starting to kind of build out this international life for myself, understand that this is by design. This is a part of the values that I have and what I want my business to look like. And so maybe you don't want to travel. Maybe you love wide open spaces and you're, a country girl at heart and you want to move somewhere, out with a lot of land and have animals and all of that. I think that's fantastic, but it's really important that you get clear on what those things are and that you dream those dreams now so that you can build a business that is ultimately conducive to that. So along those lines, I think another thing that people miss is that they're not honest about their real goals. I think we all know like maybe the socially acceptable goals of, oh yes, I want to quit my job and I just want, a little extra to support my family and all of that. But think about what you actually want, right? Like I'm very bold. I'm clear on what I want. If I'm like, hey, I want to live a tri-continental lifestyle, I know that's kind of like absurd to many people, but I don't care. It's not their goals, it's mine. I find that a lot of people hold themselves back and they're not very honest about what their actual goals are. They say goals that they think that they won't be judged for, or goals that they think are within their reach because they're too scared to say the real thing that they want because they worry that it's too far out of their reach and they'll never get it. And does that mean I'm a failure if I'm not ever able to achieve that goal? And so part of building a business and a life that you want is not only being clear on what your personal goals are and what your lifestyle goals are, but giving yourself permission to live the actual life of your dreams and being clear on that and not being fearful that it is something that you can't achieve, or not lowering or constricting your goals. Because again, if you lower and you constrict your goals because you're like, oh, I don't know if I can achieve this, I'm just gonna keep it low, you will end up building a business that supports that low goal. And when you ultimately hit it, you're gonna feel constrained by both your business and your life, because it's ultimately not allowing you to achieve ultimately what it is that you want to achieve. So if you want to create a business and a life that you love, it is imperative that you learn how to, yes, identify those goals and identify what those real goals are, but actually the processes and the steps to actually make them happen. And so I have a video that you can check out here, which is my video all about how to set goals like a millionaire. It's really, really eye-opening. But if you want even more depth exposure into my personal goal setting process and how I truly create the life of my dreams, then I invite you to join me in the reboot of one of my signature programs, which is No Excuses Woman. So I'm super excited about this training. I actually just finished recording it last week in this, here content creation studio, or whatever you want to call it. This is my Airbnb, my short-term rental property, but I use it when it's not in use in order to create my content. And so just a few days ago, I shot the recording and the trainings for that No Excuses Woman program. And so No Excuses Woman, if you know my story, really put me on the map, because it was that original self-discipline training that I created when I was just, a single millennial. I was dating my husband, but we weren't married at the time. I didn't have kids. And so while that training was good, it reflected the mindset that I was at that time. And so now that I think about wow, I'm married and I have 2 kids and I have a mortgage and I have all these different things, there's so much additional richness and insight that I can put into that beyond just self-discipline, but truly this idea of making your dreams happen. So I'm really excited about this program. If you want to learn more about how to get it, how to become a part of it, you can click the link below. Depending on when this video comes out, you can either sign up for the wait list or sign up for the training when it is available. But if you love this content about creating a business and a life that you love, my program No Excuses Woman is really what you need to join in order to do that. All right, thanks so much. I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you can't wait for my next video, make sure you are subscribed to my podcast, The Courtney Sanders Show, where I share a lot of behind the scenes of my life and even my goal setting process in a lot of different arenas that I'm working towards. And if you want even more, I share even more behind the scenes of my life on my Instagram. It's CourtneyLSanders. I only have one account. Check the spelling. I'll never misspell my name, because unfortunately there are spammers out there and scammers who are impersonating me, but I only have one account. So go to CourtneyLSanders on Instagram to follow me there. And with that, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.